What's up guys, it is me, Mad Samurai 84. I decided to do another video of my eShop deals reviews. I did a video last month of my February pickups and I got some good games there. And I picked up a load of eShop deals in March, and I was like, alright, I'll do another one. Well, why not? You know, it's just taken me a bit of time to kind of play through the games, because I try to play through quite a bit of them so I can make some sort of mini review of them. So I've got quite a few. I think it's about 17 games I've got in this video. So I'll be giving a game score, and I'll be giving a value score. On the value score, I kind of try, you know, whether it's a good game and then whether it was value for the money I paid for it. And then also I'll be saying whether I kind of recommend you play it on handheld mode or dock mode. You know, what is better to play this game, where it's, you know, touchscreen or the graphics, just, you know, general playability. So anyway, let's jump into the first game and we'll go from there. So to start things off, I went a bit crazy. Qubic Games had a sale celebration for their 17th anniversary. And if you had certain games you already had purchased, they had a sale on. But if you had these certain tiles, you get an even more ridiculous price for it. So if you had downloaded their games, Colouring Book, which was free, which I downloaded to get all the sales. And then there was Roblox, Pocket Mini Golf, and Puzzle Book. So if you had any of those 4 titles, you were entitled to this super discount. But I just got the Colouring Book one because that was free and it unlocked it. So the first of the Qubic games I got was Pocket Mini Golf. I bought this for 15 English pence. It was about a 91% discount. Its non-sale price was £1.79. I've kind of seen this game floating around on the eShop, and I just thought, whatever, not my thing. But you know, I saw this and I thought, oh yeah, I'll pick it up. So it's a strange one. This game, it started out as originally a mobile game, I'm pretty sure, and yeah, it kind of shows it in some aspect. You know, it has touchscreen controls, which works pretty well. Really, you can use your thumbstick, or you can just use touchscreen if you're playing handheld, and the touchscreen does work pretty well for the most part, unless the ball is kind of like on the kind of top part of the screen. That's where it gets a little bit funny of trying to use the touch screen. So it's a bit like, yeah. And you kind of, there's technically 3 modes. There's the casual, where you just start playing holes, and then there's a multiplayer mode where you can play up to, I think, about 4 people, it's kind of right. It's basically just get to set like how many holes, and basically it's the first one to kind of get to complete the amount of holes, really. And then there's challenge mode. Now, the casual mode is basically you just go through all the courses and just collecting gems. And basically, you just collect these gems. The gems are just used as a continue for the challenge mode. Because when you play challenge mode, on casual, you get as many goes as you want. Really, you have, like, let's say, infinite balls. But challenge mode, you have 3 balls per hole. So if you don't make the hole within those 3 balls, game over, really. But by collecting these gems, you kind of, when you're in the main menu, you can kind of continue from where you got up to your highest, so you can carry on going. And it just feels a bit like there's real no point to it. When you play a bit of the casual, you're like, yeah, it gets alright for the moment, but then it just gets a bit boring, and then you try challenge, and then that gets a little bit boring. Like, the multiplayer is probably the most slightly bit of fun in this game, and this, apart from that, there's nothing much to say which is great about this game. You know, I like mini golf, but I would have liked to see some sort of, not necessarily a career thing, just some sort of like score thing of trying to, like, you know, make this shot in 2 shots, 3 shots, this and that. It's just there's nothing to go. It's all a bit like there's no sense of achievement of like finishing a course. Really, you just technically you just got to build up getting your gems, really, if you want to use that towards like continuing your challenge, really, on your challenge, on the challenge mode. Apart from that, there's nothing really much to say about this game. It's just it's a bit bland. You can kind of tell it's a mobile game. You know, the touchscreen controls are okay. They're a bit dodgy in certain parts, but yeah, I just feel like even with what I pay for it, it's just like it's going to be a game that I'm kind of just going to delete and never going to go back to. So when you look online, when you look at the kind of Metacritic, it's quite hard to actually find any scores on this. But the user score on Metacritic is like 4.9, so you can see there's a lot of people who think it's a bit, who don't think it's great. It's only based on 7 ratings. It was a bit hard to find many scores in this game, which is a bit annoying, but it is what it is. So, as for a game score, I'm going to give this a 3 out of 10. It's not a great game. It's not, the fun kind of ends very quickly. So I think a 3 out of 10 is quite justified. My value score, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10, purely for that because of the multiplayer. If you've got some friends around, then this can probably be a little bit of fun on multiplayer. But there are far better multiplayer games to be playing than Pocket Mini Golf. So yeah, and should you be playing it handheld or dock mode? You should be playing it on handheld mode because of basically the touchscreen controls. Playing dock mode and playing with just the controller, it isn't as great. Like, using the simplicity of the touchscreen is so much more kind of fun to play this game. So I really recommend playing it handheld. My second Qubic game pickup was One Strike. I also bought this one for 15 pence. So it was 96% off. The non-sale price was £4.49. The one thing I have to say about this game, it's got really good music. I really enjoyed the music in this game, and the visuals are quite they're very nice. They're kind of this whole like, so they're like a 16-bit style kind of pixel graphics, and it's basically a 2D fighter, a little bit like if you ever played Bushido Blade on the PS1, where basically it's a one-hit kill, really, and you have to go through, there's about 7 or 8 characters you can choose, and you have to fight each one to complete it, and there's all different difficulties, and there's a couple of different modes. There's just there's a tournament mode, there's the kind of like one kill mode, and basically it's just basically one life, and you go on through to the next, and there's another one where you have basically 3 rounds and all that, and there's a multiplayer, of course, where you can play against your friends. Now, this game is alright, the music is good, but once you've played it through, it gives you little reward to go back and play it more. It's not like you can unlock more characters or anything, and also it feels a little bit too easy when you use like certain characters, because there's certain characters who have basically kind of got they've got a bit of like a long range attack, really. So if you choose them, you are more or less guaranteed to win. You're not going to have a problem like defeating some of the other characters. It's just really easy just to steamroll through the game. But it is an alright game. It's not great. The controls are quite simple and easy to get a hang of. But it's quite hard to kind of execute when you're trying to block, roll back, and attack. Especially when you're doing it on a bit of a harder difficulty, you can get your arse handed to you a bit. So it is quite a bit of timing, really, and it is a little bit of fun. But it's just an okay game. It's not an excellent game. I think the game score is going to be a 6 out of 10 for this game. It's nice, but it's not like excellent. And when I'm going to look at Metacritic, that's got a 61 on Metacritic, so my score is kind of like quite on par with what people on Metacritic gave it, so which is quite good. My value score, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. I just feel like, once you've kind of played for it a little bit, there's little much to kind of bring you back into the game. But, even if it's just to listen to the good music, that's good. Whether you should be playing on handheld or dock, I feel like this looks much better in handheld. When you play it on docked on a big screen, it just doesn't look as great. It's more kind of fun to play at handheld, so I recommend to play it handheld on that way. The third Qubic game I picked up was Dex. Now, this is a game I have been interested in getting for quite a while. Quite a few years I've kind of had a kind of eye on it. I was thinking of getting it on PS4, and then I saw they got released on Switch. And then I saw on Red Art Games they've got a physical of it, and I was tempted to get the physical. But when this came up, I thought, oh, why not? So I bought it for £1.50. I got it 91% off. Its non-sale price is $17.99. And Dex is basically, it's just like a side-scrolling action like RPG type game set in like a cyberpunk kind of like universe. And you know what? I have to say, I really enjoyed this game. It's an excellent kind of cyberpunk style RPG. Everything is voiced. The voice acting, on the most part, is pretty good. The gameplay is really enjoyable and makes you want to play more. The level design is like really good, and it's really like nice to kind of walk around through the city. It's not like humongous, but it's a fairly decent size. Really, you kind of got like the top layer, then you got underlayer where you got all like sewers and all that stuff. And there's lots of little side stories. Like, I've only like scratched the surface of the game, but I'm really enjoying it. The one thing that I'm kind of getting a little bit peeved, it kind of like it lacks the option to focus on one mission and like get like some sort of like waypoint to like help you go in the right direction of like, all right, I should go here, and you have to go through the options and like really read through the missions, and you're like, all right, I'm going to do this one. Oh, I have to go here, I have to go there. So you kind of can get a little bit lost, and you'll end up like traveling back and forth a bit. But the game is I'm having a really good time playing this game, really enjoying it, and it's just very, very fun, and some really good characters that you come across. So it's good. I think it got the reception of it was pretty good. Its Metacritic, saying that, it didn't get too great reviews. I thought it got better. But Metacritic is sitting around like the kind of high 60s, basically like 69 on the PS4 and Xbox One version. I'm not sure about the Switch version. But you know what? I've really enjoyed this for the amount of money I paid for it, and so I think like my game score for it, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 for this, and my value score is going to be a 9 out of 10. I feel like I'm getting a lot of value for the small amount of change I paid for it, so really enjoying it. Now, whether what kind of mode you play it, handheld or dock, it plays fine in. It plays really good in both, really, but I prefer handheld mode because I find it a bit more kind of fun to play it, really. But both is equally as good. The next Qubic games pickup was Coffee Crisis. I bought this for £1.55. It was 82% off. Its non-sale price was £8.99. This is quite a little kind of. It takes you back. This game does. You know, it's a side-scrolling kind of beat 'em up, really. Kind of like, you know, kind of takes you back to like the feelings of the old kind of like Mega Drive kind of games of like Golden Axe, Streets of Rage, and all that stuff. And the one thing I have to say is that it's got an excellent metal soundtrack. It's quite a tough game, I feel like, for me personally, but it's really fun to play. I wish there was probably like at least one more character, or maybe there's an unlockable character. I'm not too sure. I just feel like, yeah, if there was one more character, I think that'd be really good. But level design is really lovely in this game. It's really nice, and it's an interesting choices in the enemies that you come across in the levels that you have to do battle with. It's very interesting. The only thing that I really kind of bothered me is like in some areas there's this like text bar appears at the top of the screen, and it covers like quite a large part. And if you're kind of fighting enemies up there and it appears, you kind of cuts you off where you can't really kind of see what you're doing, and you can take a bit of damage and get beaten up. And also an interesting thing which I came across. Metal Jesus Rocks and Alpha Omega Sin make a little appearance in this game, which is quite interesting, so props to them. But yeah, kind of very enjoyable game. I'm going to give this as a game score as a 7 out of 10 and a value score of 8 out of 10. I really wanted to kind of play co-op on this one, but I haven't got around to kind of playing co-op with it with anyone. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. So what mode should you be playing, at handheld or dock? Handheld. It doesn't look too great on dock, to be honest. Like on a big screen, it just like the graphic style doesn't really work that well on a big screen, but it looks excellent on a small screen. So I advise you to play it on that. The next Qubic games pickup is Wrecked High Octane Stunts. This was another 15 pence game. It was 97% off. Its non-sale price was $5.39. I think this was another mobile game. I think, I'm pretty sure. But it's a fun game with nice bright colours, and it was actually a really great soundtrack. Basically, the goal of the game is to basically just get the high score by performing stunts and landing them in a level, but also by completing the certain missions to kind of to get coins. You to unlock more cars, you have to get basically high scores. Really, you have to basically build up your score meter to unlock those cars, and then by doing these challenges on each course, on each run you do, you get these coins which you can use to unlock more arenas and basically upgrades to your car. But it can become quite a bit of a rinse repeat effect, with just aiming to earn coins for the upgrades and all that stuff. It gets a bit like but it is quite a bit of fun to play, and I think they did a good job. This was, I think it was originally a mobile game. I think they've done a good job porting over to Switch, and the colours really pop out in dock mode. It looks really nice. It is a lot of fun to just jump in and play. It's quite, you can just easily jump in and jump out. That's why I'm going to give this as a game score. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I feel like the value score, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. I probably should give it more, but you can easy jump in and out of it. So actually, you know what, I'm going to give that value score, I'm going to change that to a 7 out of 10 as well to match the game score. Should you be playing on handheld or dock? I think like both. I think it plays great on both. It looks great on both. It really looks great on a big screen. Like the colours look amazing. So this was like a really nice one. It was a very fun game to play. Now on to the next one. This one is I'm just going to say hashtag Race Die Run, or I'll just call it Race Die Run. This is another 15 pence game I bought for 98% off. It's non-sale prices, $8.99. Now this was I thought I saw it and I went, okay, interesting name, I'll give it a go. But as the name suggests, you will race, die, run, but you will be doing a lot of the middle part in this very challenging racing game where basically you've just got to get from the start to the finish, and the only opponent is your lack of skill and reflexes. You have to go through a course where it kind of it narrows, or if there's objects, basically you've just got to kind of get through this, let's call it an obstacle course, and get to the end without dying. And when you die, you have to restart. And the amount of times I got stuck, and then I finally got through. I kind of figured that the timing of getting past something, and then I die, and then I have to just keep on restarting, and it becomes quite annoying after a while. But you find yourself like revisiting it and coming back to the same conclusion: is this worth the pain and humiliation? I am just not good enough to play it. But it's an alright game. It's quite fun to play and jump into. It looks really nice in docked. It does look really, really nice. I really enjoy it. And there's not really too much wrong with it. You'll see some like kind of graphical bugs when you kind of come off the track and stuff. You'll see something going on underneath the track, and which isn't that great. But it's an okay game, not great. It's just it's a bit of a tough game to play. So I'm going to give this a game score as a 6 out of 10. And when I've looked on Metacritic, its user score is a 7 out of 10. But you can't really go by user scores, and there's not really much up on the critic scores. There's a 60 and then there's a 42. So it all comes down to what you like. But I think this is like a 6 out of 10 game. So the value score, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 because I have found myself going back to playing the game to give it another shot. I probably will eventually kind of give up because it does really. It's you go through the first part and you're kind of like, oh, this is alright, this is not that bad, and then as soon as you hit a level, it becomes that level's hard, and then you eventually get through it, you're like, yes, and then you get to the next level and you're like, oh god, this one's a tough one as well. So yeah, it can be quite unforgiving, this game. So handheld or docked? I'm going to say both because it looks really good on both and plays very well on both. So yeah, easily can do it one or the other. So my next Qubic game purchase was Welcome to Primrose Lake. I bought this for the measly sum of £1.50. It was 78% off. Its non-sale price was £6.99. And before you say anything like, "Oh, this looks really rubbish," I thought that too. You know, it's one of those time management games which, they're okay. You can tell that this was a mobile game, but once I kind of looked at a trailer, I saw like it's not just like a standard like time management game. There's like some kind of mysterious story happening throughout it, and I was like, all right, I'm going to give this a go. And at first, I thought, yeah, it's cheesy, cheesy mobile game port, but the underlying story and the gameplay is actually really enjoyable. The art style isn't the greatest, but the gameplay really sucks you in. And the little dark story that's happening, you see kind of unfold, is actually pretty good. And I have to say, it's got touchscreen and it's really, really enjoyable to play. It's not too great docked because you have to use the controller. It's a bit kind of like finicky, so it's touchscreen, it's handheld all the way because of that. And I have seen that there is a second installment, but it's only on mobile yet, so I'm waiting to see if that comes out on the Switch. I did have a little go on the multiplayer. It wasn't fun, to be honest. Basically, one player kind of does all the work while the other player kind of basically stands out the counter and kind of just takes the orders and the cash. They don't really do anything, so it's a bit of a pointless feature, really. There's no point to it. It wasn't fun at all, but really, really have been enjoying this game. Really sucked me in of playing it. So the game score is going to be a 8 out of 10 for this, and its value score is 8 out of 10. Couldn't really see much on like a Metacritic for this. I don't really know what other people have given it. On its Steam page, it says it's got a mostly positive reviews. But yeah, it was quite an interesting game. So should you be playing it handheld or dock? As I've said, you've got to play it handheld because of the touchscreen. It works perfectly. The touchscreen is really good. Don't play it dock. Don't use a controller. It's not as fun to play it with a controller. So handheld all the way for this. Now, my next Qubic game purchase was not a brainbuster. I got this for 15 pence and 91% off. Non-sale price of £1.79. This is another game that started out as a mobile game, and you can see kind of why. But that's not technically a bad thing. This is a great little puzzle game it's really challenging. It really challenges your brain and kind of helps you to kind of improve your decision making over time, because you have to kind of be quick. It starts off rather easy, but that's short lived, and you will question your intelligence and ask yourself, why did you not do what it told you? It's minus points for it having no touchscreen controls in handheld. There's a challenge mode and there's a versus mode, which I haven't tried those yet, but it looks like they're kind of great modes to kind of play with friends, to see who's king, who's the smartest. But this is actually quite a fun, simple game, really. It is very nice. I can't really see many reviews online. I can just see stuff in the mobile, really reviews. Google Play, it's got a 4.3 out of 5. The Apple Store, it's got a 4.7 out of 5. And you know what? It is quite a nice game to play, I have to say. It is quite fun. It's very challenging and it's easy to pop in and pop out. So I'm going to give this a game score of a 7 out of 10. I feel it is very good
for what it is. You know, and the value score, I feel like it's 8 out of 10. I think it's got a lot of challenge to it, and with those other modes, I feel like I would definitely have a go on the multiplayer on this with people. It is very fun. Handheld or docked? I'm going to say both. It plays equally well on both, and it looks great on both. Really, you can't go wrong on either way you decide to play it. So yeah, this was a good pickup, I feel like. Next on the list is Zombie Blast Crew. I got this for £1.50, 83% off. Its non-sale price was £8.99. I nearly kind of missed this one. I didn't really see this one until I was looking through the list. I was like, oh, what's this one? Okay, bam. This is another game that started out as a mobile game. But you know what? This is one of my favourite pickups for March. It's actually so much fun to play, and it's so replayable to go back into a level if you haven't kind of picked up or completed all the challenges, because on each level there's challenges to do to get stars, which you use to kind of upgrade your character or characters, because you unlock different characters and upgrade your weapons. And also there's crates which have all kind of like man of goodies, or whether it be coin or what. But it's a really good mobile port to Switch. This is a really good one. But you know, there are a lot of trash mobile games out on the Switch, but this is one of those few diamonds in the rough you found. So this one was a really fun game. It kind of looks nice, it plays nice. You know, it's just a very fun game to play. I have been enjoying it a lot. This one's been getting a lot of play out of me. This is definitely one that will be staying on my Switch for quite a while until I kind of get through it. So, and it's so easy to just jump in and jump out. You don't have to kind of really solidly play it. That's what it's the definition of a mobile game. But this is actually a really good mobile game that's been put on the Switch. So yeah, really good. I'm going to give it, as a game score, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. It's really good. I'm going to give it a value score of a 9 out of 10. Really, I think there's a lot of value in this. It's really fun to play. I know I'm going to get so much enjoyment out of this for the amount I paid for it. So, handheld or dock? Both. It looks great in both. It plays great in both. So I can't really say one is better than the other. So yeah, we can stick with that. Handheld looks great, plays great. Dock looks great, plays great. You can't go wrong there. Now this one was a kind of a last second purchase. When I went, alright, you know what, I'll do it. It's Mini Trains. I bought this for 15 English pence, 97% off. Its non-sale price is £5.39. And you know what, I have to say, this is a really half decent little puzzle game. Really, its only downfall to me is that there are no touchscreen mechanics in handheld mode. You would have think they would have been good, but this is actually a really fun and actually quite challenging as you progress through it, of trying to basically lay down the tracks in a certain way so you can collect the coloured stars for the certain colour trains to collect those stars and get in without crashing. It's all about setting them really and and as you set them off, you can, if you've got some tracks that kind of interconnect, you can change it of like the direction where they're going. But yeah, really quite an interesting game. It looks nice, you know, it doesn't look amazing, but it is quite a nice game to play. And you can either do like a first person when you get on board the train while it's going through the track, and you know, pull the your is it called a horn or whatever it's called, so you can give a little toot. But yeah, quite nice. I've had a lot of fun playing this game. When you kind of look online at Metacritic, there's not really many kind of critic scores on the Metacritic page. There's 3. There's a pure Nintendo, which got an 80 there, Gaming Age at 67, and a Video Chums at 60. You know what? I've quite enjoyed this game. I think this is actually going to be something that I'm actually keep on the Switch to play, because it's actually quite enjoyable and it's quite a bit challenging as you go through. So I'm going to give it a game score as a 7 out of 10. Its value score, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. You know, I think there's a lot of value for this game for the amount I paid for it. And handheld or dock, I'm going to go handheld on this. I feel like it feels nicer to play in handheld. When I was playing it docked, I don't know, it just felt kind of a bit taken back being on the big screen. I feel like it feels a bit more fun to play it in handheld, so I'm going to have to go with that. It feels much better to be playing it that way. Here we go, another mobile Qubic game. It's in the form of Gravity Rider Zero. Now, I paid 15p for this, got 97% off. Its non-sale price was £6.29. You know what? It's a half decent port of a mobile game. It has like a mini futuristic. It has like a mini futuristic like Trials vibe all over it. Not as kind of difficult as Trials, but it has that kind of vibe, and it is quite fun, really. Well, definitely not as punishing as Trials. Definitely not. You know, the controls are quite easy to use. It's fun to. The game's fun to like dip in and out. Really, you don't have to kind of just play it solidly. You know, you just got to basically. You've got 3 challenges per kind of like track. There's like 3 let's call them races per track, and you have 3 challenges. One of them will be to not lose all your hearts, do it within a certain time, and the other one will be to do something else. So it's all about that, and there's plenty of bikes to unlock, and there's all plenty of customization of those bikes, and you can unlock the bikes by leveling up, and also unlock a load of customization stuff by leveling up, and you get coins, and you've got to use that to kind of buy a bike or buy the customization and this and that. But yeah, the one thing that things I didn't like is like the bike sound effects. They're pretty awful. They make sounds like you're dragging a bike along the floor and driving it. And when the camera angle kind of changes, because you won't see it just from the side. The camera angle will go into a certain angle or move, and it confuses you slightly of like how you're controlling the bike. So it will just put you off balance a little bit, and you can mess up sometimes. But yeah, quite enjoyed this game. It's another good old mobile game. There's not really much on the Metacritic page. You know, there's Gaming Age gave it a 67, Video Chums gave it a 60. On the Google Play Store, it's got a 4.2 star rating. But you know what? It is a nice game, easy to go in and out. You know, not amazing, but it's pretty good. I'm going to give it a game score of a 6 out of 10. Its value score, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10, because I feel like you can easily get back into this game. You can play a couple of tracks and you're in it, and then you'll just go, oh, I'm bored of this, but you'll probably find yourself going back to play it. Is it better handheld or docked? Neither really. It's really good in both, and it looks pretty nice in both. I think it looks great and plays great handheld and the same in dock, so can't really say which one's better I prefer, but a pretty good game for what I've paid, so I really enjoy it. Now, the last of my Qubic games pickups is Puzzle Book. I got this also for 15 pence, 97% off. Its non-sale price is £5.59. Now, this is the purchase I made, which I feel like I've really questioned of, like, why did I get it? And I know why I got it. It's because I've been doing a lot of puzzles lately, and I was like, oh, this would be interesting, let's give it a go. Why not? It's definitely not as fun as the real thing. You know, the touchscreen controls work pretty well. It feels like it's a little bit easy in a way, because you can do a picture reveal overlay. So, you know, you get your frame with kind of out a line border, and you've got your pieces on the side, and you just press one of the buttons and it shows the picture. So you just kind of can more or less in a way match the pieces to the picture quite easily in a way. So that was a bit like, oh, okay, not that challenging in a way. You know, there's a free update with, I think, with some extra puzzles, and they're able to make bigger puzzles because they only go up to like 60 pieces. But then there's a free bit of like DLC where you can get up to like 150 pieces, which is pretty cool. But I have to say, there's too many like horrible child-looking puzzles. Really, they could have made them more appealing for adults and kids, but they just look terrible. But the non-children kind of design puzzles look really great. They look like great bits of art. They just look really, really nice. Some of them really quite like, oh wow, this is amazing. There are some other kind of DLC packs, but I'm like, no, I'll stay clear. I'm not. I wouldn't pay to get more puzzles than this. You know, it is actually quite nice having like the bigger puzzles when you try to do it, but it comes kind of like rather boring on some of these puzzles when you're trying to line up the blank spaces. It just doesn't feel the same way when you're doing it on the real thing, so you're just like best off sticking with an actual puzzle. There is a 2-player mode, but I'm not sure I would want to put myself and another person through playing this as 2-player, because one thing that I found slightly annoying, because when you're going through the puzzle pieces you get a set amount on the side, and then you can press a button to kind of change those pieces to get another set. So it's a bit like, oh, you have to, it's just a bit like, you know, you want to look at all the pieces. I know it's not very feasible to do that on the Switch, but it was a bit like, oh, I want to look at all the pieces. But I can understand why they didn't do that. But yeah, that was a little bit annoying. But yeah, I haven't really had too much fun with this. It's actually quite hard to look at kind of like reviews for it. I'm looking on the Nintendo Life, and they've got it's a user rating. It's not their rating. It's got 5.9 on there. You know, when you go to the Metacritic page, there's nothing on there. So, yeah, there's not many people showing Puzzle Book any love. So my game score for this is going to be a 2 out of 10. Really have not enjoyed it. Kind of really question why I wasted the 15 pence on this. But I'm going to give the value score, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. It's purely for the fact because you can get free DLC to get a load more puzzles, really, and a bigger size. It's only a couple more, 2 puzzles, I think. But you can get a bigger size, so there's a bit of value here if you're really into it. But you know, if you're paying more than 15 pence for this game, I feel sorry for you, really do. You should be playing it handheld or dock. You have to play it handheld because of the touchscreen. You know, that works very well. Playing it with controller just isn't fun. Definitely the only way to play it is handheld touchscreen. Other than that, don't bother. Do not bother. Now we've got through all those Qubic games pickups, now on to something different. So the next game I've got is Woven. I paid £1.79 for this. It was 90% off. Its non-sale price is $17.99. Now this is like a kind of, it's like a 3D platforming like puzzle game. I think they kind of describe it as. But I kind of see it's a game with, I felt like when I was playing it, I didn't really have any direction. Like I was just wandering, just aimlessly happening along where I should go. It got a bit confusing, really. And playing it in handheld, because I started playing everything in handheld, it all looks a bit blurry and hazy. The graphics to it just looks a bit kind of like dirty. But when you put it like in docked, it looks much kind of crisper and cleaner. And there's the one thing I kind of did notice about this game is it's full of little graphical glitches and slow kind of loading textures and load of pop-ups, you know, and all the plants have collision. So you'd be walking along and you walk into this small plant, which anything more than a small little flower on the ground has collision. So you'll walk into a small plant and you kind of get stuck. It's just a bit like, yeah, okay. And there'll be a gap where a tree and there's a plant, and you think like, oh, I can walk under here. No, that collision, there's a collision wall there. You can't walk through that gap where you feel like there's a large enough space for you to get. So yeah, there's a little bit of issues there. But you know what, it's got an interesting level design because everything looks like it has a material texture. So it looks quite nice, like the ground and all that. It does look nice. And it seems like it's quite a large world that you can explore. So you can see a bit of a vast land. But you don't know where you're really going in the end. I just don't know where I am. I'm just aimlessly walking about. And you can see that like the draw distances are a little bit terrible because as you're walking along, like things will just pop in and out of like certain area. And actually, you know, the draw distance is actually pretty good. It's just the pop-up. You'll see a lot of pop-up happening. It just really, really is not good. You know, the general like controls as well for this game is okay, but it feels slightly off when you're walking. And kind of, so you'll be walking straight and then all of a sudden you'll be like, well, you'll be running and then obviously you've slowed down, like there's something that's happened while haven't got like up all the way, pushed all the way properly. You've kind of veered off slightly, so you kind of stopped like running and he's gone to some weird side walking kind of like animation type thing. It's really hard to explain. It's just a bit like oh, okay, just something feels slightly off, but it is quite nice. You know, you have to unlock all these kind of like animal kind of like bodies. You can go into the machine and you can change different parts of your body so you have different moves in a way. So you know, you can stomp the ground, you can jump, you can do this, you do that, and it is quite nice. And you can change all like the textures of your body, and there's so many different points where you can really colour yourself, and you have to use that. You have to sometimes put different patterns of colours on yourself to do certain things in there. So it is quite interesting. It's a little bit of a challenge, but I haven't really kind of enjoyed this game that much, not at all. Just feel like I'm a bit lost and not really kind of enjoying it as much that I kind of really wanted to. So I'm going to give it a game score. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. And when I go try and look online, I want to look on the Metacritic page. There's not many reviews to go by. You know, a pure Nintendo 65, play Zines and whatever it is, 55, gaming age 42. Yeah, I can probably understand why people have given those scores. There is quite a few bugs in this, and it feels a bit like you just don't know what you're doing. So yeah, a 5 out of 10 I think is a perfectly acceptable score for this game. I'm going to give it a value score. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10 really. just feel like for the amount I pay for it, I'm definitely not enjoying it. I know I don't pay that much on it, but like, oh god, if I had spent £17.99 if I had to pay full price for this, I would feel very, very conned out of my money. And luckily, I spent a fraction of that, and I still feel like I haven't got that much value for the money. Now, handheld or dock, it has to be played docked, purely the fact because it looks so hazy and blurry when playing it in handheld. It looks much crisper and the colours really pop out better playing a dock, so do it that way. You're still going to get the graphical glitches in handheld or docked, so you might as well make it look nice and play it docked. My next pickup is Q.U.B.E. I paid £2.29 for this, 90% off. Its non-sale price was £22.99. It's a sequel to Q.U.B.E, which I don't think is on the Switch from what I can see. But I thought, hey, no, I'll give it a go. And you know what? It's a good-looking Portal-like inspired puzzle game. It's quite nice. It's first person. You have to go through the areas and use these cubes really to kind of get through the sections to get to the goal. Really, it is nice. I have noticed there are some graphical glitches when moving the camera or even opening doors. I have noticed that. That was a bit like, it looks a little bit blurry on like some of the videos. Like the player's hand, you'll see it looks a bit blurry for some reason. I thought that was just in handheld, but when I put it in docked, it was the same thing. So I was a bit like, okay. Didn't really understand that. I thought it was an issue, but it's still present there. The puzzles are fairly simple to overcome, but they do get a little bit more testing as you further go along in the game. And there is like an underarching story that you've just kind of you're like on Mars or something, and then all of a sudden you're in this place. Really, it's quite confusing. It's quite interesting. I've been quite enjoying this game. It's one of the very enjoyable experiences I've picked up. Quite interesting. I don't think the first Q.U.B.E is on the Switch, so it would be interesting. I might have to have a look into it if it's on there. I think it's on like PS4 and stuff, so I'm definitely going to be playing this from to the end, and then maybe look into playing the original, the first one, and see what that was like. But yeah, really, really, really good. So I'm going to give this a game score. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. And when I look on the Metacritic, it's got a 69 on Metacritic, which I feel like maybe it's a little bit too low, but when you kind of go through it, there's a lot of like kind of 80s, there's some 70s there, there's a 50, so that kind of drags it down, but I feel like an 8 out of 10, I think it's a solid game score for this. I'm going to give it a value score of 8 out of 10. I feel like I'm really enjoying this game. I think it's really good price I've paid for the amount of game I'm enjoying of it, and yeah, it's a good price I feel like. Handheld or docked, both. It plays equally as good and looks the same. Really, it's not really that much of a difference. So yeah, handheld and docked for this game. Next up is Lumo. I paid £1.99 for this, and 90% off. Its non-sale price is $19.99. Now this is a game I kind of had my eye on for a while, and I've been tempted to get a physical of it, but I just never pulled the trigger and kind of got it. And you know what? I got it. It's Lumo is a 3D isometric puzzle platform game, and you know what? I've played it through. I've completed it. And I have to say, it's an excellent game. It's fun. It's tough. The only thing I kind of find one of the things I find a bit annoying, or pointless in a way, is at the start is like the gender player selection at the start of the game. It has no role in the game whatsoever. It seems a bit pointless. Where at the start you see if you're a boy or girl, and then other than that, you're this little wizard dude. So yeah, didn't see any point of it. but you know, I feel like I didn't see everything in my initial playthrough, and I'm tempted to play through it again. But there isn't much negative things to say about this game, apart from that you die a lot. I mean, die a lot, you will die. And the camera angle can be a little bit unforgiving when trying to execute like certain moves, but it looks good, it plays good, it's very fun, it's very challenging. You know, I had a lot of fun playing this game, and it really kind of like definitely will look into kind of getting a physical copy for it. That much I'm gonna say, really glad that I saw this and decided to finally pull the trigger, because I've seen it on sale before and never bothered to get it, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get this, bang, that seems like a good price. So yeah, it's good. And I feel like this was done by a pretty small team as well, so I don't think it was a big team at all who did this. So I have to say, good job really for the small team, for the people that did this. You've made a really good game. I'm really happy with it. So let's get on to the game score. What am I going to give it? So Metacritic, it's sitting around on the Switch. It's got a 77 out of 100 on Metacritic. Yeah, I feel like that's a pretty good score. But I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 because I really enjoyed this game. So I feel like that's a very good score. And for the amount of game, I feel like how much I've enjoyed it. Its value score, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. You know, I've got a 90% discount and I really love this game. So I feel like I've got great value for money here. Handheld or docked? It's another both. Really, it looks and plays great on both, so I can't distinguish. I played it basically 99% in handheld, but on what I played it, the bit I played in docked, I've actually started replaying it again. So, and I haven't gone, oh, I want to play it handheld. So it's definitely good on both. Now, I know what you're going to say, but you had Sniper Hunter Scope in the last month's video, but when I was going around in the store, because I bought it, and then I saw there was an expansion pack, and I was like, oh, how much is that? And I was like, oh, no, I'm not spending that amount. But when I was going through the store, I saw the Sniper Hunter Scope Deluxe pack, which includes the expansion pack. I saw it going for £1.52, so that was 90% off. Its non-sale price was $15.99. I'm not sure it was at that price because I had the original game downloaded, because it will do that sometimes. If you've got a certain game, it will give you an extra discount. I'm not too sure, but the expansion pack on its own is like £3.59. So I feel like I've saved over £2 just on the expansion pack, which is pretty good, I feel like. So I thought, you know what, I'll add it on there, because I feel like the game, the base game, I thought was excellent. It's a great game. Now, with this expansion pack, it's just 2 extra sniper levels and 4 new guns. 1 gun for each type of gun, really, which unlock straight away, which you can use on any of the base game levels, which really helps. But unfortunately, it is just 2 new levels, which are exactly the same, 1 day, 1 night. And there's no new TT. They call it a TTP level, like they're kind of like the third person or first person level. There's none of that. So it's a bit like, oh, okay, you know, but it's all got a zombie vibe for it. So it is quite a nice level, but you feel a little bit shortchanged with it just being just a day and night cycle. And I finally got around to using the gyro controls with Joy-Con. They work all well to a degree until the alignment is a bit off and you give it a quick shake and that seems to fix it. But yeah, for the most part, the zombie thing level is fun. You know, there are some little problems with one type of zombie that kind of just like appears out of thin air. You'll see it, and it just basically nothing there, and it just plop, appears. And that was a bit like, okay, that's a bug. But you know, I would feel a little bit shortchanged if I actually paid the full amount for the expansion pack. Really, I would have expected at least one new sniper level and one of the other type, the TTP level. That's it. That would have been much better instead of it's the same level. But you know what? You get the guns, which are pretty good. Yeah, so I really enjoyed the first one, and I gave the actual kind of the base game a pretty good score. I gave it a 9 out of 10, the base game, but for this for the deluxe version I got, where it's basically I'm basically just reviewing the expansion pass part of it. I'm going to give that a 6 out of 10. Really, the expansion part. Its value, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Because I feel like you've got some pretty good guns, and the guns you do get, which are unlocked, which you can use, are really good, and they really do help with getting better, higher scores in the kind of the base game level. So that is good, and I feel like, you know, I've got quite a bit off that expansion pass. I'm quite happy with that. So yeah, it is good, but the whole basically just one level. Yeah, it feels a little bit let down, and I don't really like the night stage. The night stage is a bit whack, but the day stage is quite fun to play. Now, handheld or docked? Well, it has to be handheld. It feels like it plays so much better handheld. Really, I don't really like playing it docked. It just feels much nicer. And I feel like I can get better scores when playing it handheld. Now, my last game pickup for this video is a Roombo First Blood. I paid £1.70 for this. It was 62% off its non-sale prices for $49. First off, I have to say I love the developer name, Samurai Punk. They're not a big team. It seems that they're quite small, and they've made quite a nice game here. It's built as a comedic top-down stealth action game where you just play a robot vacuum cleaner, and you have to sort out burglars coming into the house. Really, they're coming to the house and they're stealing valuables, and you have to basically set off. Whether it be sprinklers, electrical sockets, fans, you tap into everything to basically attack them and basically kill them, really. And you leave such a mess around the house that you also have to clean it up, you know. And even with the dead bodies of the burglars you've killed, you can suck up their bodies. It's quite an amazing robot vacuum cleaner, I have to say. But it's got beautiful art style, this game. It's got a really nice, intriguing art style. Really like it. It is fun to play. It does get a little bit repetitive, but it is nice. It really makes you want to have your own Roombo to protect you and clean your house for you. So it's nice. You know, the game slightly falters when playing in docked, not being able to use the touchscreen controls when you're in the hacking mode, because that's how you kind of access and set the traps for people, is in the hacking mode. But when you're in docked, you have to use the right stick. It just doesn't feel nice trying to select this small little kind of electrical socket, really. The output to set it off, really, it's not very seamless and quick. But when you're in handheld, it's much nicer because you can just tap the screen of what you want to kind of happen. So it's so much better to play. But yeah, it's a nice game. It looks great. A little bit repetitive in a way. But yeah, I feel like this was just something random I saw, and I went, yeah, I'm going to give it a go. So I'm going to give it a game score. You know what? I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. When you go on to Metacritic, they're about. There's not very many reviews there on Metacritic. It's got a 60 on Metacritic. I was tempted to give it like a 6, but I went, no, that's too low. I quite like this game. I like the art style. And I went 6.5. Then I wasn't sure. I said, you know what, I'm going to give it a 7 because it is quite a nice game and it looks good. And you know what, Rainbow is just a cute little character to play, even though he's very dangerous. And value score, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Really, I feel like this is a nice pickup for £1.70. I feel like it's very good. You know, I have to say, after each level when you finished it, it gives you a percentage of you have to try clean as much of your house up as possible. It gives you the percentage of how much of the house you have cleaned up. I've never got over 60% or 65%. And as you go on, there's more burglars, and you make so much mess, and there'll be foot treads all around the house, and there'll be blood everywhere, and you're never gonna get clean it all up. So anyway, handheld or dock, it has to be handheld. It's just so much better with the little touchscreen controls. It's nice when they do that. It plays much better handheld, and it feels nicer having to just go through, and it feels a lot more fun playing handheld with the touchscreen than it is playing docked with just using the controller, using the right stick, trying to select things. It's just very unnatural and not that fun to play. I really wasn't enjoying playing it with a controller. So that is all my pickups that I managed to kind of get in March. I got some quite good ones, I feel like. There's a couple of little stinkers in there, but yeah, got some nice games. You know, in total I spent £16.54 on all those games. So yeah, it's because of that Qubic sale I managed to get tons of stuff for really cheap. You know, the total non-sale price was £164.13. So I saved £147.59. So it was, but just shy of like 90% off that whole purchase. Really, I think it goes to about like 89.9%. So let's just say 90%. So I saved a lot of money there. I got quite a lot of games for the small amount of money I paid, and I've got some really good games that I definitely am going to keep on my Switch and play through to the end. So yeah, really some really good games. So yeah, that is my March's pickups, reviews of my eShop deals. I have got some games that I have picked up for April. So hopefully I can get that out much quicker. It won't be as late. Maybe it might be I can get it out before the end of April, or maybe at the beginning of May. I'm not too sure, but I'll try and get it out quicker next time because there's less games to play. Because this one was a bit crazy because there's a lot of games to play through. So I'm going to not try to have as many games, so I can get the videos out a little bit quicker than later. So anyway. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Give us a little comment. Let us know what you've been picking up in the eShop sales, and if they've been any good. If you picked up any of the same games, if you even got any of the Qubic sales, the super celebratory sales, did you pick up any of those? The nice cheap prizes. Yeah, let us know what you think in the comments, and until the next video, take care guys, I shall see you soon. Goodbye.